When I share my story, it's about more than building an inspirational space for artists. I represent the creative spirit of the nation, the Choctaw Nation.
I am our past.
I am our present.
I am our future.
I am all of us. When we share, we become one.
Because our stories make us more.
Stories keep our culture alive.
See them and share them at togetherwe'remore.com.
People don't know what it is to be champions. Oklahoma invented it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Through the Keyhole. It's an Oklahoma football podcast, June 17th. So much Oklahoma football news to get into. We thank you all for joining, and thank you, everybody, for your patience. And as we last week was the show that we weren't able to record, right? Or did you guys record something?
No, we did a special show with CFB
Peyton.
numbers. Yeah.
Peyton was able to put out an episode that was previously saved for Patreon, I believe, and put it out for everybody. And again, we put stuff out like that on our Patreon page, patreon.com/throughthekeyhole. Peyton's got his summer conditioning series, which that episode was a part of. It was a really good episode. So if you didn't get a chance, if you thought like, oh, it's not the normal crew, I'll skip that. Go back and listen to it. It'll make you feel a little bit more optimistic as an OU fan. So go check that out and more at patreon.com/throughthekeyhole. But I am Brady Trantham. With me, as always, is Mr. Matt Burton, fresh off of a very exciting Thunder First Take postgame show on 107.7 The Franchise last night, and then 3 hours of radio where you guys no doubt talked about Tulsa bringing back their men's golf program for 3 hours.
We did that, and we talked about the running back room at OU. So with the new commit, which I'm sure we'll get into today, but yeah, we found a small window to squeeze the Thunder Game 5 victory in, but other than that, it was mainly OU, Tulsa men's golf program, and the College World Series at Omaha. So, yeah.
There you go. I do wonder, because when I covered the Thunder, they did not make it this far in the postseason. But I was always curious, had I been a little bit older and covered the Thunder in 2012 when they got to the finals and lost to the Miami Heat, I remember wondering, like, in June, were there still listeners like texting in, calling and going, we don't give a damn about Thunder, talk about OU football?
Oh yeah, they're absolutely not right now. I don't think it was funny though, because kind of along those lines. But yesterday, like leading up to a pivotal Game 5, we did get a text as we're starting off our show. If you guys have not listened, we start off the show with what's called our big story of the day, right? All that stuff. And obviously it was the Thunder finals
usually
game.
Just OU football.
Usually, yeah. Randy Heights shout out to Randy Heights. He phones it in a lot. But obviously it was the finals, Game 5 going on that night. And like 5 minutes into our show, we were just trying to get deep into some Thunder talk. We did get a text that said, "Oh, you just got a 4-star running back commit."
Breaking news!
Man, I love that. I'm glad that happened. We were talking a lot of Thunder today, buddy. So just buckle in, get ready.
Oh, well, it's football state, but no, we're all very happy and excited for the Oklahoma City Thunder. But before that, the other host that will be on tonight is one Alan Kinney. Alan, how are we doing?
Oh, I'm good, man. I did not see 1 second of last night's game. I was at the Kendrick Lamar SZA concert.
Ooh.
So I have not seen a second of anything that happened in the Thunder game. Don't spoil it for me.
Okay.
Well, fair enough. I would assume then that the Thunder fan portion of this podcast that's listening is probably now begging you to not watch the game on Thursday.
Well, they might be in luck, actually.
Go be a Kendrick Lamar and SZA groupie. You just follow them on tour for a few dates.
Sell merch in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Make grilled cheeses afterwards, veggie burritos and stuff. Yeah.
And Alan, speaking of Patreon, you put out your first article in quite a bit because you're mostly writing on keyholepod.com, the free site, but you put out a little article for our patron friends at patreon.com/through the keyhole. So there's another thing for you all to go check out. I mean, we might talk about that in a little bit, Alan, but Peyton will not be with us tonight. He is traveling, I think, for work, so he wasn't able to make it. So you've got 3 of the 4 horsemen here on Through the Keyhole. Everybody, if you've not done so yet, because it's been quite a minute since we've gotten a new one, so I'll ask you guys again. If you've not done so, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcast or Spotify and leave a positive review if you agree with it. If you honestly are still listening and you have like a gripe, or you want us to do something else or not talk about this or talk more about that, please let us know, and we will do what we can to cater to what our listeners would prefer. But it would help the show, help grow the show even more. We're very proud of the 3rd highest rated podcast in the Oklahoma football cinematic universe for podcasts. We're very proud of that. But we haven't had a few in a while. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, if you've not done so, please rate and review 5 stars, and we will greatly appreciate that. And also, I always forget to plug the YouTube page, but sometimes people would prefer to listen to the podcast on YouTube. Maybe it's when they're at work at their desk and they can't put their earbuds in. So it's just kind of a little bit easier that way. I believe, and I should have pulled it up when I started talking about it, so I will try to effort what exactly the handle is. I'm assuming it's at Keyhole Pod, but what do I know? Keyhole Sports. Yeah, it's youtube.com at Keyhole Sports. You'll see the little white logo. So we've gotten a handful of comments there, and so I'm trying my best to monitor them in case somebody asks a question. But if you've not done so, go check out the YouTube page. Just another way you can listen to Through the Keyhole. But I guess real quick, because I'm inclined to talk about the Thunder guys first, but I know that most people come here for OU football, so let's table the Thunder talk for just a bit. I am fairly intrigued, excited of the prospect of the Thunder potentially winning the first major sports championship in the state of Oklahoma since 2000. I mean, all respect to the softball team. Softball is growing in popularity. I wouldn't really consider it a major sport just yet because it doesn't even generate a profit, but maybe 5-10 years down the road, it may very well. Hopefully it does. It's an exciting sport to watch. If you all do not watch it, you're doing yourself a disservice. It's pretty fun to watch. But yeah, the Thunder on the precipice of doing something great for the state of Oklahoma, but we'll get to that in just a second. Matt, you already mentioned it. You got a running back that kind of looks like Ramondre Stevenson and wears the same number, and we're all to expect the same type of career, which means he will be so underutilized on his first year on campus. We will all identify that he's by far the best back. Why aren't we playing this guy? He will then play a little bit, then get a weed suspension, which is, I guess, still a thing in 2027, and play 4 or 5 games in a pandemic year and clearly be one of the best players in the sport, and then off he goes. So that's what we are to expect.
I mean, I would take Ramondre Stevenson right now. Yeah. I mean, I would, if you're just going to say, hey, this kid's another Ramondre, sign me up. Ramondre is awesome at OU. But yeah, DeZephan Walker, I believe I'm saying that right. It's not every day that you see a name that you've never seen before. I can confidently say I've never seen DeZephan before, but that makes me love him even that much more. Just there's a lot of power in a great name, and DeZephan fits that bill. We're talking about a 4-star, I believe, consensus. I think he's 3-star on 2 of the sites and a 4-star on 2 of them. So composite, I think he is a 4-star. He is now, at least on threes rankings, the 4th highest rated recruit in OU's class. And I would say 2 of those that are ahead of him probably not going to end up in OU's class. Jaden O'Neal and Daniel Odom, the 2 friends there. So kind of a package deal. So yeah, I mean, big time get. I think the 4th best prospect in the state of Missouri. And yeah, man, I'm excited to kind of look and dive into some of his highlights. It's been kind of nonstop Thunder these past yesterday and then today. So can't wait to dive into some of his highlights and see more about our guy DeZephan.
Yeah, well, rightfully so with the Thunder. I mean, I think one of the best things about this, if you do not care about the NBA, but you're from Oklahoma And you're like, I mean, yeah, if you put a gun to my head, I would like the Thunder to win. I think the big thing that this does for that type of fan that is just like foaming at the mouth for OU football talk and like the season is this makes the offseason a little bit shorter. At least it does to me. I mean, I love the NBA. I'm watching the finals no matter who's in it. But because this has a local tie and a local flavor and they're on the precipice of history, it is kind of making my internal clock of going, okay, so if they wrap it up either Thursday or Monday, whenever Game 7 potentially would be, okay, then that just means a few more weeks until SEC Media Day, which I will be going to, by the way. I will be there for my current job. You know, we can talk about that later too. So it'd just be a few more weeks until SEC Media Day, which is then just a few more weeks away until fall camp. And then boom, we're right back into the swing of it. So try to look at it that way. If you're just like, with the Thunder, listening to all my OU podcasts, all I do is talk about the Thunder. But I mean, Alan, Dzefin Walker being the 11th commit for the 2026 class, at least the 11th verbal commit. And it seems like in the last month, 3 weeks, maybe, I mean, I feel like they had maybe 5 or 6 guys verbally committed, and then boom, within, like 3 weeks, now they're up to 11. Like Matt previously mentioned, everybody is kind of under the assumption that Jaden O'Neal probably won't be a part of that list, which could be completely detrimental in the event that OU doesn't land Bo Bentley from between them and LSU. That's a different story for a different day. But I just wanted to ask you if you agree with my kind of viewpoint of like OU's current state of recruiting, because again, we're not necessarily a recruiting podcast. We've made that clear abundantly for the last few years for our listeners. We're not going to break down film or anything for you guys. I mean, you guys can do that on your own. But to me, like, recruiting is a gigantic part of the story. But I tend to consume it, Alan, in terms of it's typically a reflection of what your program is currently and what it projects to be. And the interesting thing that we find ourselves in right now is, 2 or 3 years ago, we were talking about Brent Venables being saved basically by his recruiting prowess, like 6-7 his first year, 10-3 his second year, a step in the right direction, but still a few too many things that kind of jumped out at us that are like, well, that's concerning, and you're going to lose all these guys, and you're starting a brand new quarterback and going into the SEC. So what's that third year going to be like? But hey, like, even with some of those mistakes, like, the recruiting is just off the charts, offense, defense, all over the place, and going in a direction that OU fans haven't really seen even since the early Bob Stoops days. And then, of course, the third year happens, you go 6-7 again, and it's like recruiting just hit a brick effing wall completely, where guys aren't even verbally committing, and OU has to make staff changes, move the roster around a little bit, retain their best players. And then you're kind of left with, in my opinion, and I'll see if you agree or disagree with it, I just kind of see the current state of recruiting as being in the same boat that we're all in. Like, it's a unique situation where typically, like, players, coaches know a lot more about a situation at a program than the fans will. But because everyone is basically saying, like, yeah, Ben Arbuckle's great and John Mateer is great, but we're all waiting to see, like, what actually that equals against that schedule in that conference. So, I mean, you're not hitting the panic button, are you? Like, because I certainly haven't been, with like the lack of recruiting news from OU, or like they're not necessarily in the market for like this class is Williams Winery. It wasn't like 2 years ago. It hasn't been like 2 years ago or anything like that. And I've just seen it as like all these players coming out of high school, they're kind of in the same boat as us, in that they're just waiting to see like just how successful, if not, this OU team can be with Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer moving forward.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where you can't blame any player who wants to wait and see what this is going to look like. I mean, talk to any parent out there, one of these kids or whatever, and tell them, oh, well, this coach is definitely on the hot seat. That's not a school that's going to be, rising to the top of the ranks of their, choices for where to send, their blue chip kid. So, I mean, a lot of 3 stars in this group. So, maybe guys who are looking to kind of reserve a spot, if in case things really pop. But no, I mean, but I also think that it's kind of one of those deals where, like, okay, well, if Venables has a really poor season, if OU has another poor season in 2025 and Venables gets booted, I mean, most of these kids are going to scatter anyway, right? So it's hard to really get too wrapped up in anything at this point. But, I mean, it kind of just speaks to, like, OU Venables himself and OU, they really need to have like a good year, like a show me type year, because if they're just going into 2026 with a okay, that was good enough to survive for another year, then you're still kind of just stringing along these okay but not where you want to be type recruiting classes.
Are you ready for the new era of sports in Oklahoma? Want to be ready for some real Southern football? Kaizen Performance in Norman, Oklahoma is your spot for physical and mental growth. By empowering a lifestyle of constant, continuous improvement, Kaizen Performance's gym experience lends itself from the experienced training fanatics to those who want to make a positive change in their lives and everyone in between. Come see their new location at 158 Armstrong Court in Norman, Oklahoma. With experienced trainers who understand that every client has individual desires and needs, in-person and online customized training programs and nutrition plans, Kaizen Performance has everything to offer for you to meet your goals. Again, their new location is 158 Armstrong Court, Norman, Oklahoma, 73071. Seriously, Brady works out there, and so does Peyton when he comes to home games. Come work out with us and get ready for the week-to-week grind of real Southern football. Kaizen Performance, Norman's own local gym where your goals are a workout away.
Yeah, and each year is going to be different in terms of recruiting classes. I mean, Matt, you might know this more than me just by hosting a radio show. Is next year's not this recruiting class that we're talking about? Is next year's like state class projected to be pretty damn good, or is that the year after with that offensive tackle who's like a super freak or whatever? I can't remember his name.
I want to say Cooper Hackett, the kid from
Cooper Hackett.
Yeah, I want to say that he is the 27 class. Definitely could be the 28 class. Though.
So basically, OU could go 8-4, and it wouldn't probably sway some of these national kids of like, oh yeah, like they've corrected it. Let's jump back on the Brent Venables OU bandwagon. OU could then still be at least saved probably from in-state recruiting. Like, I mean, the 23 class, was it the 23 class or the 22? No, wait. Would it have been the 22 class that Gentry was in? Because he was
because 23 was Arnold and
I think I could be wrong. I think the 22 class, or maybe it was the 23 class, had a bunch of in-state talent that has ended up being, when healthy, pretty damn good so far. So, I think like Brent has been a little bit helped by the fact that Oklahoma as a state has produced some pretty damn good talent year in and year out over the last handful of years at a rate that I don't really remember. There's certainly been like 2006 when Jermaine and Gerald and Sam all came out of the same class. Or there was like an early 2000s class, maybe even in 2000 or 1999 with Teddy Lehman, Wes Sims, all those guys. So like, yeah, like every once in a while there's like a year where everything kind of comes together for the state. But, it kind of brings back this whole conversation about when we're projecting the 25 Oklahoma Sooners and how important it is for John Mateer and Ben Arbuckle to work, Alan, because 8-4. Do we all agree 8-4 means Brent Venables isn't going to be fired?
I would say.
I would assume right now, but let's see what it looks like too.
Unless like one of those, unless one of those 4 losses is to like Temple or something.
Oh yeah. I mean 8-4 meaning like, let's say you go 8-4 and you don't beat any of the teams that you were not expected to beat. Like your toss-up games would be South Carolina, maybe Tennessee, but they're on the road. I mean, I'm assuming Tennessee lost.
Like you lose to Texas, Bama, LSU, and like South Carolina on the road. Like you lose the games that you're probably going to be.
And like losing if you lose to Texas by like 40, then you're in real trouble again. I mean, all that kind of stuff. But.
Yeah. But for the most part, 8-4 probably saves Brent. But I mean, if they're able to get that extra win, like 8-4 saves the staff for the most part. If they're able to go 9-3, that's where you start getting into the conversation of maybe you start swaying some recruits, especially on the offensive side of the football. And I want to bring that up from a recruiting standpoint, development standpoint, in just a few minutes. But maybe you start to sway some other kids to kind of get back on the bandwagon, so to speak, with Brent Venables and OU. Now that they would have then corrected, their mistake of empowering Seth Luttrell at the offensive coordinator position, and on the field. Does 9-3 get OU into the playoff? Probably not, but they would definitely be in the conversation with that schedule. And
it might.
Well, yeah, and depending on what else is going on, like if there are a handful of 10-win Power 4 teams, maybe it's just well, you shouldn't have lost that extra game, or maybe maybe OU goes 9-3. They have 2 close losses to, let's say, Texas or LSU or whatever, but there's that third loss and they just get skull drugged by Alabama. It's well, that's kind of hard to forget. But they would definitely be in the conversation, which would be a far cry from where we have been in the last year. So it would definitely be an improvement. And that's where I would say, okay, now this is a step in the right direction. 8-4 saves Brent, but I would still kind of be where I am right now, where it's where is this going? Long term, where is this story ending? 9-3 would kind of get me back on the, okay, I like where this is going. And now let's correct the recruiting aspect and bring in some more talent, continue to develop them, and then you put your best foot forward. But, the thing about recruiting, one is landing them, of course, and then 2 is the development part. And, we've kind of discussed it here and there. But I mean, I don't know, guys, Jeff Lebby, to me, poor evaluator of talent, but can still somehow put guys in positions to succeed no matter who they are or what style that they kind of play in. He's weirdly good like that. I feel like most offensive coordinators are better at, if they're good OCs, they're better at identifying talent that work in their system, and they're not able to take someone from outside their system and make them good. Jeff Lebby can kind of do that, but he is a piss poor evaluator of talent, because OU's early classes on offense, I mean, you can just go through the list of guys who were bust, transferred, bust, didn't do anything, bust, transferred. And, the Seth Luttrell year doesn't help. And that's why this year is so damn important, because if you look up at the defensive side of the football, Alan, I mean, there are a lot more success stories, anything ranging from this guy became a great player to this guy is a solid player. This guy is a great rotational player. There has been a development track record for defensive players. And it's just as simple as can you just make that happen on the offensive side of the football? And then you'd really be cooking with something.
Oh, I think without a doubt, you look at the development on the defensive side versus the offensive side. I mean, it's night and day, I mean, looking just at the first class that Brent signed, when, I mean, he really only had a couple weeks to even put anything together. You're talking about R. Mason Thomas, Kip Lewis, Grayson Halton, Robert Spears Jennings. I mean, these are guys now going to the senior year who are going to be getting legit looks and, for the NFL. So, the next year, I mean, OU's defense, I mean, it's clearly been the point of emphasis, and the development has been strong there. You look at what's going on in offense though this year, and just so few guys who came up through the program are really in position to be big contributors. I mean, if you want to count a guy like Deion Burks, for example, I mean, he'll be in his second year at OU. That's, I mean, that's, they didn't sign him out of high school, but you count that however you want. But I mean, a lot of the other, guys we're looking at here, a guy like a Giovanni Gibson, for example, or a Jaden Odd or a John Mateer. I mean, these are guys that made their bones elsewhere and now they're cashing in at OU. That's not where you want to be in the development curve. And, especially after watching last season, it's where this program really seems to be falling short internally.
And look, I mean, I say that, and while it is factually true, It's the 2023 class that's really holding Brent back. And a lot of that is on him because he's the one who quote unquote put Jeff Lebby in that position and empowered him to do what he wanted to do and bring in the players that he wanted. And a lot of those players really set the program back. And Jeff Lebby's not there, but you promote Seth Luttrell with the thought process of let's try to take what Lebby did and just kind of continue that on. And it did not work whatsoever. And that 23 class is just like anytime you feel like, at least I do, anytime you feel like some confidence, because it's been a long time since the Navy game. You guys remember the last time we watched OU football play was against Navy and how awful it was and how uninspiring it was until, just some brief moments here and there where, your expectations for like a Michael Hawkins are very low because he's a true freshman quarterback on a bad team and a bad offense. And he has some cool moments that, get called back because of a hold. He has a big pass for a touchdown at the beginning of the game, then leads a potential game-winning drive, which I was like, hey, I like that. It's better. I mean, I didn't see Jackson Earl do shit like that ever, and he's supposed to be quote unquote better than him. So, anytime you'd feel, at least I do, anytime you feel like some confidence, I just remember that, hey, you lose Danny Stetson and Billy Bowman, and those are gigantic losses. And I'm kind of the opinion that I expect them to be just as good, if not better, on that side of the football. And on offense, I'm just praying for people to do something. I think we all feel good about the offensive line, but we're excited about some receivers, and we're hopeful for the vast majority of the other ones to do something. But these guys need to be healthy and available and make plays like an OU wide receiver should. We're all excited for Jade Knott, but he needs to be healthy and mirror the player of 2023. And then his running back coach needs to put him out there and not dudes who haven't played all year on the road to run a trick play. Like cute shit like that doesn't need to be a part of this entire equation. So it is what it is. But I guess kind of connected to all that, what we have alluded to with those conversations is just, the play of John Mateer and how important it is for the program, for the present, for the future. And Matt, was it this mainly from like Todd McShay's quote, the whole like John Mateer conversation that kind of came out of nowhere?
I think so.
Yesterday, where scouts are just I think I told you on the radio yesterday, Matt, to me, it's like, I think the Todd McShays of the world are just so bored watching those 2 games Arch Manning played against nobody. And they're like, there has to be someone else out here. Like I've seen the Arch Manning, blah, blah, blah. I've seen that. Old hat to me. I'm bored. Oh, John Mateer. Let's watch him. Holy shit. This guy's pretty good.
This guy's awesome.
Damn. How does OU do it? They sucked last year. How do they do this? How do we let them get away with this?
Yeah, no, I think
I'm just screaming in Alan's ear.
I think the quote was, he's a breathtaking prospect to watch.
I mean, he's handsome. Let's call it.
He's handsome.
Very
he's
handsome.
got a great head of lettuce on him.
I thought you were going to say something else. But he does have a great ass. That thing is popping. Which if you have a running quarterback, just like baseball player, where does that power come from for the power hitter? Right in the ass, man. Just bam. Yep. And in the SEC, I need some truck legs. Yeah. Keep those legs moving, and I think we're good in that department with the old Johnny Mateer. But yeah, the whole John Mateer conversation of what his prospects are beyond college are starting to kind of come out. Mm-hmm. And it's going to gain more steam as I'm assuming he'll be at SEC Media Day. He'll impress everybody. Hell, Jackson Arnold impressed people last year. And when players talk to the media, it seems like their value gets inflated just a little bit more, and that's just natural. So, it brings up something in my head, guys, that it's been a worry since John Mateer, like the idea that, okay, OU's probably going to go after Ben Arbuckle, and he's got a quarterback by the name of John Mateer, who was really fantastic at Washington State, and he would be a very good bridge for the program at OU to come over with Ben Arbuckle if OU's able to land that deal. That's exactly what happened. But then, that was before or right after the bowl game. I can't remember when this all went down. But in the doldrums of my OU fandom at the end of the last season, I remember thinking well, if he's as good as we think he is, or that we're being told that he is, even with that schedule, we could go 8-4, which would be a vast improvement. We'd all be kind of happy with it. But if he's that good, like, what if he leaves? And Alan, this is kind of worrying me that people are now starting to turn over the rock from Arch Manning, going, "Hey, look, that John Mateer guy with that long, pretty hair and his tape." I think it is imperative that OU either is just awesome this year and has some Sooner magic behind them, correcting the wrongs of last year, get into the playoff, and then if John Mateer is truly that good, maybe he gets graded very well, I'm assuming he'd leave. And then we'd be in kind of the same situation. Even if OU lands Bo Bentley, I don't want to start a true freshman the year after in 2027. But I don't know. Like, basically what I'm trying to say is I want OU to be awesome as they can realistically be. And I want John Mateer to be a big reason for that. But ideally, I'd want to keep him for 2 more years. But if we're already hearing like a lot of scouts like praise him and hearing like 3rd round this or whatever people have been throwing out there, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I need him for 2 years, not just 1.
I don't know, man. OU needs a big year from him. I'll take 1. That's fine. Like, in my mind, if he plays well enough to be considered for the NFL draft, to consider going out for the NFL draft this year, that's a huge win for OU. Because he's probably, in that case, you're talking. I don't see like a 1st-round quarterback myself when I watch him.
Mechanics.
And so, at least not right now, right? Yeah. And so, I'm envisioning him as probably a 2-year guy at OU no matter what. But if he's not, that I view that as a good thing, because it means that he absolutely blew up and played way beyond my own expectations this season. So I'll take it. And you know what? Like, we'll give it a shot with Michael Hawkins next year. Who, see what he can do for what he looks like after a year, being coached by Ben Arbuckle. Or hell, go back into the transfer portal, get another transfer. That's the one spot,
That's what I was going to bring up. Like, even if in my, like, Brady, even if OU's good, you'll find something to bitch about. And it's like they go 9-3 or 10-2, get to the playoff, and they lose their quarterback. Oh no, it's actually a failure. Well, in the event that happens, if John Mateer is truly that good and he does only spend 1 year in Norman, well, obviously some good feelings have returned around the program. Some good optics have returned to the program. Ben Arbuckle would definitely be a much more highly thought of offensive coordinator than he already is, because he would have done it on the big stage in the SEC with that schedule. And if you do lose John Mateer, well, there's probably going to be a quarterback that hits the portal that would suddenly then think, I want to play for that guy. Because I'm also afraid about potentially losing Ben Arbuckle. Because if all this works, Ben Arbuckle is definitely going to get a head coaching offer, even at his age. I don't think he'd take it, because I don't think a program big enough to pry him away after 1 year at OU would want to offer someone that young. But, like the UTSAs, the Kentucky or Western Kentucky's, like, I'm sure that they will. And if Ben Arbuckle definitely wants to be a head coach, who's to say he wouldn't take that offer? But I think most people, level-headed people, would say, like, no, he'll be here for 2, hopefully 3 years, and wait for that, I don't know, like University of Houston or Texas Tech, or, like a bigger Power 4 program that he has a little bit more pull with. So even I don't know, guys, like 2, 6, and 7 seasons, I just feel like anytime I have a good thought, I have to like cap it with some doom crap.
Like, to me though, like the whole idea of, what if Ben Arbuckle takes another job? To me, that's a good thing. Like, it's a good thing to have people trying to, recruit or take away your people within your program. Like, that in the long run is a sign of growth and health, in my opinion, more so than, I mean, the short term, you might have to figure out a way to kind of, make do for a year or something. I think that it would be if Ben Arbuckle's in a position where he could take like a high G5 type of job after this season, I think that would be a very good thing for OU. It would have done, it'd speak to how well they did this season and, speak well of their prospects going forward.
Not only that, if Mateer does get drafted after this year, again, like you guys were saying, I mean, it's a good thing. It feels like that means OU did pretty well, or at least John Mateer put OU in positions to be successful if that happened. But if you do keep Ben Arbuckle for next year and you lose John Mateer, like Alan said, I mean, hit the portal. You now have Ben Arbuckle, who has connections to Cam Ward, and then John Mateer, who would be a draft pick at that point in time. And if he's leaving to go to the NFL draft after 1 year at OU, I would assume that would be top 2 rounds. Like, I mean, like I don't know what John Mateer's draft, like, okay, it has to be in this range, but if it's enough for him to go after 1 year, that's got to be like top 2-3 rounds, maybe at the most.
You'd think so, yeah.
So that's what I mean is like I don't feel like I would be like maybe Michael Hawkins takes a step, or I mean if you can hit the transfer portal if Ben Arbuckle's still there too, I think you could get somebody.
Yeah,
pretty good.
You're right. I mean, I praised him at the beginning of the show, and then I forgot that he was even on the team. Michael Hawkins, he would be in his 3rd year in the event that this all happens.
Right.
Oh, he goes 9-3, 10-2. John Mateer is highly thought of. Maybe he gets Heisman hype. Maybe he doesn't exactly go to New York, but he's like in that conversation late in the year. That would obviously be good for OU. Then he gets, he declares for the draft. Well, Hawkins would have a year of tutelage under Ben Arbuckle in this system. Finally be coached by a good quarterback coach or two with this staff. And I would feel, like I'd feel confident if they felt like, no, we don't need to go into the portal for a QB. We feel confident about Michael. Then I'd be like, okay, Ben Arbuckle has shown me that if he chooses somebody, then I'll follow him. But I think mainly what I'm thinking of, guys, is the bigger picture here, because in the event that, like, you're right, like, in a perfect world, and typically with our history as a program, like since we've been alive, since we've been fans, when you lose players to the draft, it's because like you've had good players and good teams. When you lose assistant coaches to other programs to become head coaches, it's because you've got great staffs that are highly respected throughout the country, and they've certainly given a lot of programs across the country to want to envy them. So there's evidence of success. But if it's Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer and they are gone after a year or two, Matt, I'll start with you. Are you confident that Brent Venables can then just go out and identify the next OC and hire him? Because that would be like, because I do not give him credit for Jeff Lebby, and it's not even like that I think Jeff Lebby is awesome. I just see that pairing between Lebby and Brent as more of an administrative decision of like, hey, come be the head coach, Brent, and we're going to get you Jeff Lebby. And he's like, okay, cool. Like, he's really good. Let me build the defense up. I will think that until it is explicitly said otherwise by Brent Venables, that he was like, when they were hiring me, I said, I want Jeff Lebby. Then I'd be like, okay, fine, I'll change my mind. But until that day, he's only really hired one guy, and it was Seth Luttrell, and it was a disaster of biblical proportions. And then he had to correct himself, and they even had to hire a firm to like advise on the search. You guys remember that, or am I dreaming that? I think they.
I don't remember. I mean, a lot of these hires all involve search firms, so it really wouldn't surprise me.
Okay, well, so he gets the Seth Luttrell thing, awful, and then Ben Arbuckle. And so if Ben Arbuckle goes somewhere else, it's like, okay, you're 1 for 2. I mean, are you guys confident that Brent can just go do it again?
I think that I would, unless it's like, oh, hey, we're just going to hire from within again. Like, we're just going to try to keep continuity. I think that he's probably learned his lesson on that. The Kusiewski guy. Yeah. I would say that would worry me a little bit. seeing as we kind of saw how that movie ended. But also, and again, I really don't know how to feel about this right now, but how much say would Jim Nagy have in that too? Like, would it be just solely down to Brent, or would Jim Nagy have a guy in mind as well? And whose decision would that be? Would that be what is basically, I mean, is the GM, the general manager, or would that be the head coach's decision? Like, or is it just trusting them to kind of put their two heads together and figure it out? I am fascinated with the GM in college sports and how it'll work, because I mean, forever it's been the head coach is the GM, he's the president of ops, he's everything, and then now it's kind of this new wave, and I don't know whose decisions some of these will be, like how the decisions will get split up, or if it is all just 100% collaborative.
Well, ask Alan. He knows the answer to that question.
Yeah, no, I really don't. You know, I guess the way I'd look at it is if we call Ben Arbuckle a success in this scenario, I'm not sure if I would classify Levy as a success. I think that he's a talented offensive coordinator, a talented mind. So I would say that the conglomerate in that case would be 2 for 3 as opposed to 1 for 2. Which I mean, if that's who's in charge of making the next hire, if that's the brain trust, then I mean, I'd be willing to take my chances with it. I also think though that, again, if OU has a good year, also you're going to have, and Ben Arbuckle's able to go somewhere, get a head coaching job out of that, something like that, you're going to have more candidates. You're going to have a pretty good crop of candidates who want the job also, if it you know, is able to kind of help launch Arbuckle's career. You know, I mean, a lot of too with Lilitrell stuff, I also view as like a bad evaluation on Jackson Arnold, if that makes sense, right? Like you kept Littrell as a line of continuity from the previous offensive coaching staff because you wanted to keep this 5-star quarterback in the fold, and we saw how that turned out, right? I mean, so you know, there's a lot going on here, but I don't have much concern if Arbuckle takes off. I don't have much concern about Venables making the next hire or that entire group, whoever's, and you know, the people running the football program.
Kind of off the wall topic for you guys. Has there been a player that you've just randomly kind of thought of and maybe like, let me just YouTube his highlights, whether he be a transfer player or a incoming freshman or a player that's been here like a Deion Burks or whatever? Have you guys just kind of found yourself getting randomly excited about a player? Because I'm curious if you have, because I have an answer, but I wanted to wait for Matt. I'll ask you first. Has there been anybody that's kind of jumped out to you?
Not as far as like going and searching up their highlights or anything like that, because again, I'm pretty dialed into the Thunder right now. I have moved football. I keep postponing football season for a day each time these games come along, but. For me, as far as like, God, like, what is this guy going to look like this year? Like, what? I can't wait to see what he's like. For me, it goes no further than R. Mason Thomas. For me, I just 9 sacks last year. He's a guy for me that I think that he could do some serious damage this year, and not only because he was good, obviously, but I expect OU's offense to be a whole hell of a lot better. And instead of seeing like 5 to 8 minutes left in a few games where the opposing team has to throw the ball, like really has to throw the ball, maybe you see a lot more of those situations, right? Maybe OU's playing with a lead more, where the teams aren't just running the ball and just keep running it just to run out the clock and move on to the next week against OU. I want to see what a full season looks like of R. Mason Thomas potentially playing with a lead and not just, you know, having to go up against, you know, however many runs. Like I want to see R. Mason Thomas kind of open it up with a full season of an actual offense on the other side of him.
Alan, did you have one?
Oh, I mean, Not really. I've watched Mateer quite a bit, just to kind of get a feel for what OU's getting. So I've seen quite a few Washington State games from last year. For some reason, I went back and watched the Texas game. I don't know what possessed me to do that, but um, I think there's something there with Hawkins. Um, I- so much he just looked to me like he was completely out of his depth, which is what you expect at this point. A lot of his struggles. I think that, and I think that he's the kind of quarterback also that seems to fit well with what Ben Arbuckle was doing last year with John Mateer. So I'm kind of excited to see him at some point if he gets a shot, or in the future. So those would be my two.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Hawkins is probably a good pull. Unfortunately, I mean, I think we don't really want to see him play unless it's in mop-up duty because he's like kicked someone's ass.
Yes, correct.
But I am glad that he's still here. I'm glad that he decided to stay. I'll always have the Auburn game. That was special. So that's up there for my OU football memories, even though it was in a terrible season, a lost year. I mean, I'd say like I have found myself just kind of pulling up my phone whenever I'm just laying on the couch and being bored and pulling up Xavier Robinson highlights. And I'm excited for Jade Knott. I'm very excited for him. I've not seen Jade Knott play football for OU. He's coming off of not an injury, but more of like an injury plagued year. So I'm always curious, like if it's one injury and they miss a lot of time and then they come back the next year, I kind of expect them to be fine. It's like it was just kind of a blip on the radar. But nagging injury stuff, that's always kind of like, I need to see something first before I'm like, oh, hell yeah. But I'm still excited about Jade Knott. I've seen with Xavier Robinson, I've seen him be probably one of the best players on the field when OU's playing Alabama. And I feel like with his running style, which he's not just Thunder, like he's got moves to his game. He can make guys miss in the open field. He's got enough burst that he can run away from a guy or two. So I want to believe that he is like, oh, you got Jade Knott. Great. He could potentially be one of the best backs, if not the best back in the country if he is healthy. But I want to believe that Xavier Robinson has that ability himself. So OU already had it on a roster. Again, it's just going to come down to the DeMarco Murray. But I mean, I'll ask you guys this. I think Jade Knott has a skill set that he could mask maybe some offensive line deficiencies early on in the season when undoubtedly Bill Bedenbaugh's unit is figuring it out and he's trying to figure out the right combination of guys coming off of injuries and so on and so forth that we always see every single year. I think Jade Knott's got that versatile skill set where he can kind of mask that. But really, if Xavier Robinson is running through holes in the SEC consistently, the offensive line is one of, if not the best units in the conference, right? I'll start with you, Alan.
Oh yeah, I mean, if that's true for sure. If it's not a case where he's kind of got to be relied upon to make something out of nothing, then for sure that's a great sign for OU's offensive line. I mean, the pairing of Robinson with Ott potentially in some two-back looks and stuff like that, that's the kind of stuff that I want to see, like what Arbuckle, comes up with, because I don't recall, I haven't seen much of that from other seasons, but he also hasn't had most of the time he's really riding like one back who is kind of their bell cow. And so I'd like to see what kind of creativity might come up getting them on the field at the same time,
When was the last time we saw a two back look? Was it just randomly? Did they do that in the Alabama game?
I think so.
I think they did. Yeah, I think it was Robinson and maybe Tatum.
Not for long.
No.
Tatum fumbled like on the third drive of the game, and we never saw him again.
You're right. Yeah, no, not for long for sure.
Yeah.
Remember, what was the first game where Tatum's fumbling? Tennessee. Yeah, and then Brent was like, "Don't bury this guy. Do not bury this guy. That he's too talented." And then it just kind of kept happening, and then it's just like, all right, well, never mind then.
Yeah. I think Tennessee, he fumbled like early, but he recovered his own fumble. He just fell on it. And
fumbled at Ole Miss too, I want to say.
He had a bad one against Texas.
Texas,
really bad.
Yeah. Him and Michael Hawkins like on back-to-back possessions to close out the first half. That's bad.
Well, when he picked up that fumble against Tennessee, he got smacked right in the head, and I remember thinking, like, did he just get a concussion? And then I think he ended up getting hurt after that, or he just didn't play. But he was, I mean, the schedule got much tougher. That's probably why. But he was a little bit of a different player from that moment on. Taylor Tatum, a name that I have to remember, is still on the roster, and we're hopeful for him, but I don't know. I honestly don't know. Like the interesting thing, guys, is there's been a lot of conversation, at least on Twitter, from what I've seen from OU fans, of kind of that first little quarter of the schedule. The easy games plus Michigan and then Auburn all at home, except for the Temple game being on the road. I don't know about you guys, but it feels like maybe it's coinciding with Bill Conley's SP Plus thing coming out a few weeks ago, and then Michigan being pretty highly thought of and highly ranked. Do you guys feel at all like a little bit more pressure about that game, or have you, like Alan, have you thought, no, like I've always thought it was going to be a tough game? Because I'll be honest, I look at their ranking with the SP Plus and I understand it, and I just greatly question it, considering what Michigan lost, the reasons why they were ever good last year, in the few moments that they were good, which of course they ended their season exceptionally well. Even in a bad year, their bad year was much better than our bad year. So who am I to talk? But, a lot of the reasons that whenever they were able to be good was kind of lost to the NFL, like on their defensive line, their edge rusher. They lost a safety. They've got, I think one side of their offensive line is experienced, and the other side is they're going to be starting redshirt or a true freshman. So they're kind of in the same boat as OU. And I just question looking at that ranking and think, like, I understand that there's excitement with Sharon Moore and the program, especially when they get this awesome quarterback, but this will be the second game of their schedule, first game on the road for this kid. Like, I'm sorry, even with my low opinion of Brent Venables as a head coach, based on what he's done in 3 years, as a defensive coordinator with those advantages, I'm like, yeah, I'm taking Brent.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely sets up that way, right? Like matchup wise, and in terms of where it is on the schedule, all that, it's very favorable to OU, especially having that game at home that early in the season. I mean, I guess I find myself, kind of getting more and more concerned about Michigan in the sense that, one, I mean, I really do think Bryce Underwood is very good, right? So if you accept that, you're kind of hoping, or you're counting on the freshman mistakes, but that's not always a great strategy. I mean, sometimes freshmen play out of their mind, right? So that part of it concerns me. And also just, I feel like from a style standpoint, Michigan, I mean, they play a certain way, and, in these days, it's kind of, I mean, it's kind of a change up, I mean, and so, in terms of getting the right personnel on the field to match up against them and to, figuring out the best way to play that. I mean, you're kind of looking at a situation where OU can't necessarily play its, standard 4-2-5 type looks, right? I mean, you might be throwing in a third linebacker out there instead of a nickel, something like that. I mean, so all that is kind of a long way to say that, I mean, Michigan plays a way that kind of makes them into a tough out. They're going to defend well, they're going to be physical. And so if their quarterback play is cleaned up some from last year, it's a tough game, and it's certainly not the kind of situation where you're going to run away from them and hide. I mean, like, I envision it being a tight game no matter what.
To me, it feels like pretty simple. It's going to be either a welcome to college football moment for Bryce Underwood, or it's going to be a coming out party for Bryce Underwood. To me, it just depends on what he looks like in that game, to me.
Yeah, my little comp that I made on the Monday post, what was it? I think last week. Again, I'm teetering between like very, very optimistic, like crimson colored glasses, Sooner fanboy, and nothing we do is ever good, and we are not deserving of any success whatsoever. How dare I feel happy as an OU fan? I go back and forth, but I just look at that game where it is with their development as a program compared to like where OU is kind of coming from. Home crowd, dude, that has like 2010 Florida State all over it, like the potential. We just need one of their cornerbacks to shit talk OU and be like, I'm going to shut them all down like Greg Reed did. And then OU just like targeted him, and Kenny Stills just like cook, touchdown. I think he got burned for 2 or 3 touchdowns that day. So, I mean, I don't know, like whether it be Michigan or Auburn. I think most people would say, like, if you had to pick one, which is more likely for a big OU win, probably Auburn because of where Auburn's coming from. And because most people around here don't have that high of an opinion of Jackson Arnold. But I do think, because I think I said on a Patreon podcast with one of our Patreon interviews, I don't know if I've said it on the free pod, but I think the South Carolina game is like the signal, the compass game for OU. Like if this OU team is serious about going 9-3 or better, they go win that game. Like it's that simple. I know South Carolina's good, and I know it's going to be tough. I'm not predicting them to do it, but I'm saying that a good OU team goes on the road and beats that team, because outside of Lenora Sellers and a few individual players, it's South fucking Carolina, coached by Shane Beamer, a guy who, until they just got really lucky last year, and credit to them, they created a lot of that luck, but there is no doubt that they got really fortunate and rode some momentum the rest of that season last year. This was a guy that a lot of people were like, yeah, he's maybe got one more year and he's out. So OU goes on the road and wins that game. If they do that, that will tell me a lot about the rest of the year, regardless of if they've lost to a Michigan already or if they've lost to Texas already. I'd be like, okay, this team's serious about winning. I think in order for us to like truly be in the position of potentially making a lot of noise this season, they have to destroy either Michigan or Auburn. I mean, do you guys agree, or like, are you guys just in the boat of just going to win and move on to the next one? But like in terms of like offensive hype and feel goodness and getting some like praise back on the recruiting trail and feeling good about ourselves as fans, like kill one of them. Obviously kill both of them. That would be great, but at least kill one of them and look good doing it.
Yeah, especially, I mean, Michigan, you got to think that they'll be a fairly one-dimensional team on offense, right? I mean, it should be the kind of thing where if they can't throw the ball, I mean, OU should really smoke that team. Now, I mean, I say that, and I was just talking here about how, I can't imagine not being a tight game. So, I mean, Michigan's defense and how they play, I think maybe kind of make up for that. But if they, and another thing too is, as well as they've played on defense the past few years, I mean, if OU's offense looks really good in that game, then that's a great sign going forward, right? Auburn, I think, will probably be, the kind of thing where they can maybe do a little bit more offensively to challenge OU, just in terms of, I realize that everybody's thinking about Jackson Arnold and how bad he was over OU, but they've got a lot around him that could potentially cause a lot of problems for OU. But yeah, no, that Michigan game, if they come out and play really well, I think it'd be a very good sign for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I think that it would be the stadium might light on fire if Jackson Arnold is taking snaps in the victory formation. I'm just saying, like that might actually happen. Auburn to me is you can't lose that game. Cannot lose that game, especially and honestly, I'm not even sold that Arnold's going to be the starting quarterback for Auburn just yet.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I'm not sold about that. But if Jackson Arnold is starting that game, you can't lose that game. You simply cannot lose that game.
I mean, guys, we're owed that, right? Because I've brought it up a handful of times. Josh Heupel, Shane Beamer, Theo Weiss, Caden Green to an extent.
Davis
else?
Bevel with South Carolina.
Yeah, he
taking victory formations.
Yeah, the victory formation, and then Navy's head coach because he's from Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you had any tie to OU, to the state, to the program as a fan, as a former player, coach, whatever, and you had OU on your schedule, except for Mario Williams, because Tulane almost beat OU. Did Mario Williams do anything that day?
Not really.
I don't think so.
Man, sorry, Mario.
Oh, isn't the dork Drinkwitz? Isn't he from Norman?
He was born in Norman.
Is. Yeah,
born in Norman. So yeah, that cat. That's another one. Honestly, I know this is obviously tongue in cheek, but OU could just beat Auburn and Missouri and lose every other game. I'd be happy. I know that's tongue in cheek. It's not real. I don't really mean that, but those are the two that I'm like, you got to win those two games. You have to beat Auburn. You have to beat Missouri.
Yeah, well, I mean, all that to say, like, if Jackson Arnold is the starting quarterback, because of all those things I just brought up from last year of everybody like having their revenge game against OU, we're owed to ensure that you will not have one. No, you actually suck, and we're going to show you that it wasn't. Oh, it wasn't me, it was them, and it was all that crap I had to put up with. No, you just suck, bro, because you put the fucking football on the carpet too damn much for no reason half the time. You're not even getting hit. Drop. Whatever. This ain't Denton Ryan. Go play flag football in North Texas, you dork.
I can't handle Brent getting patted on the chest by Eli Drinkwitz, like welcoming him to the SEC again. I can't do that. Eli Drinkwitz is like my mortal enemy. And that's weird.
I didn't put
about a guy that has no idea I exist, but still.
I didn't put Drinkwitz in that list because I remembered he was born in Norman, like you mentioned, Matt. Unlike the Navy coach who, explicitly said that, yeah, I grew up an OU fan. I watched the Boz and all those teams from the mid 80s. I think Drinkwitz was born here. I think he quickly moved. Him and his family moved away, I think, to Arkansas. I can't remember. I've never found anything of him saying that, yeah, I was an OU fan. So just coincidence. An unfortunate coincidence for the great city of Norman that yes. Guy is from there. I don't know how we'll recover. Maybe beat the living fucking shit out of them. Maybe do that.
Hell yeah.
Like they should have last year. I feel so bad for the defense in that game. They had one awful drive shame on them for even having that drive, but they played so damn well. And
Drew Pine turned into just
I feel bad for the defense, and I feel bad for Xavier Robinson because that was like the game where it was like, all right, let's just hand him the ball, and we're like, who is this guy?
Feel bad for Luke Elzinga. His pass didn't count for shit.
Brent, that damn delay game, man, it was bad. Any other OU football stuff, Alan? Am I missing something?
No, man. They're like you mentioned. We talked to them a little bit of recruiting earlier and stuff. I think that's pretty much all the big OU football stuff.
OU baseball, they got North Carolina. They got Tar Heeled. That wasn't fun. The IF game was fun. I'm glad that they at least forced that. I didn't expect the super regional appearance. I kind of hoped for a host regional, but they lost that when they got swept by Kentucky and got damn near swept by Texas. It's just going to happen. But good first year for Skip Johnson and the boys in the SEC in the toughest conference in the land. Softball, I've always thought that it was it's kind of loser talk to just be like really over the top when your team loses in a championship game and go, I'm so proud of them. Like, no, you're pissed off because you lost a goddamn Super Bowl. It's like, stop with you could be proud of them, but like, don't defense mechanism yourself. You're making yourself look silly. Having said that, considering what they lost and how far they got and how damn close they were to forcing a do or die game against Texas Tech in the semis, I was very proud of that softball team. They are going to be fucking good. Like they're going to, unless Texas Tech can buy more than one or two players and maybe get some hitting.
Texas Tech definitely did.
Yeah. They got the pitcher from UCLA, right?
Yeah. They got, I think the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 7th ranked players in the transfer portal. They all committed like on the same day, and they all thanked the Matador Club in their commitment tweets. It was great. But yeah, Tech's gonna be really, really fucking good again.
I've never really been in a club, but I can assure you it would never be a Matador Club. I don't even know what that is.
Well, if they paid me that much, yeah, I'll be in the Matador Club.
Yeah, show me where to sign.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, all that to say, like, I mean, Texas Tech's going to be good, sure. OU is going to be good too.
And OU's going to be really good.
And they're not going to be a bunch of, freshmen or, experienced players who were like nowhere near like the reason why that they were winning 4 national championships in a row. You get that spotlight thrust upon you by default as the experienced player when you're surrounded by a bunch of younger classmen and incoming like transfer players. So, I mean, they were just kind of in a bridge year, and even in a bridge year, they got all the way to the semis in the College World Series, won the SEC. That's awesome. So I was very proud of them and excited for their future. And I think outside of that, now it's time for a little bit of Thunder talk because, like I mentioned, the Oklahoma City Thunder are 1 win away from bringing the state of Oklahoma its first major sports championship since the 2000 national title for the Oklahoma Sooners. I mean, it's, NFL, NBA, MLB, college football, hockey, and Oklahoma as a state only has a chance in 2 of those sports. And the Thunder got to the finals in 2012. Everybody thought, hey, even in a 5-game series, outside of that final deciding game, like all those games were close and entertaining as hell. It gave everybody like we all understand why people were saying like, oh, hang your head high, Thunder fans. You're going to be in the finals like a handful of times more in the next decade. And, injuries, blah, 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 and all that stuff. Of course, we all know what happened. They never came back. Well, then the Thunder go through a rebuild. They tank for 2 years. They get to the play-in. Then they're the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. They get bounced out of the second round by the Mavericks, who would then go on to go to the finals themselves and lose to the Celtics. And then the next year, the Thunder do it again. They are even better. They get to the number 1 seed once again. They get past the Nuggets in the second round in a 7-game series. They destroy the Timberwolves in the Western Conference. And now they, like I said, they are 1 game away from winning a championship. And it's, Matt, it's incredible to watch, not just to watch them play basketball, but to know how far that franchise has come, what they've had to go through. And look, they've not won shit yet because, TJ McConnell, like, he's going to be walking through that door.
God damn, he's going to be sprinting through that door.
They need to shoot him up with any type of stamina steroid because if he can keep that energy for 20, 25 minutes, if Halliburton's not going to play, first of all, in Game 6 with a calf strain that was diagnosed,
I think he is. He said post game in his post game presser he was definitely playing. So
well, sure, he played in Game 5, but you have to really dig through the fucking box score to see that he did.
Yeah, no, he was physically out there. To say that he played was he was well,
that's
he was
my
physically
point.
Out there. Yeah, that's what I mean. No, I was backing you up, but
he's going to physically be out there. How impactful is that? Because what we saw in Game 5 wasn't playing at home. It's probably going to be a different story. He'll probably be a little bit more aggressive from deep early on to maybe like get some momentum. But if it's a tight ball game, like the Thunder aren't afraid of him driving because he'll just fall down or he'll stop and turn the ball over.
And he's hobbled. Couple that with getting absolutely hounded by Lugensdort for the entire game. That's what your box score is going to look like. I'm sorry. That's just what's going to happen. Lou Dort is on him all fucking night, and it is great to watch, man. I said it on post game last night, but you can go back and watch. You know the final score now. You know the Thunder won, so you don't have to look for anything in particular. Just watch Lugensdort play defense. Just watch it through that lens. Just watch Lugensdort, and especially off the ball, just not leaving Tyrese Halliburton, making him work sideline to sideline. It is just awesome to watch Lugensdort play defense, man. But Brady, the first time I think the first season I started doing post games with you and the great Madison Morris for the franchise. I think that was the last year of Russ and Kate and not Katie, Russ and PG.
Paul.
Yeah, Russ and PG, the Damian Lillard shot and all that stuff. And then it was into the Chris Paul year, which was a fun ass year, dude. That was such a fun year. Kind of restored my faith. I was about to say, it kind of restored like my faith in Thunder basketball. I had gotten tired of watching the Russ and PG teams just kind of be the 4 or 5 seed, and like the 4 or 5, 6 seed. That's just kind of what they were. And getting bounced in the first round and watching them play basketball, I got tired of it. And then just kind of a breath of fresh air. And then obviously, you know what happens? You kind of blow the team up and in a way and try to build around Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And then I think it was just me and Christine Butterfield who were doing the tanking years throughout that. Man, that was a slog. I'm not going to lie. Doing 82 post-game shows of that, just being like, hey, like 90% of these guys are not going to be playing in the NBA here in a few years. I don't really know how to break this game down other than, hey, just counting down the days till the NBA draft. And then to see what it's been like the past few years, man, it's truly special. And I'm not putting the cart before the horse, but being one win away from an NBA title, truly, I don't even know how to feel right now, and just really, really hope that Thursday is the last game, because I don't know if my heart could take a game 7 for the NBA Finals.
I don't necessarily agree. Like, I understand, like, yes, ideally you would love to watch your team win the championship in front of you, like on your own floor. Like, I get that. But I don't necessarily agree with the wish casting out loud of like, let's just like lose game 6.
No.
So that we, like, no, man.
No, win.
The Pacers are scary. The Pacers are a scary team. And I am completely confident that they will win game 6. And there again.
I hope so.
But it's coming from a place, like, I'm using my reason. Like, if I was covering this team, I went into game 5 thinking that, I was talking to some of my friends about it. I was like, I don't really know what Indiana can do strategically anymore, because they've thrown everything that they possibly can at the Thunder.
They played Tony Bradley in game 5, like 13 minutes.
And that was a new wrinkle. And he
was just kind of out there.
Yeah, he registered some numbers, but like nothing. He was nothing to me. It wasn't like, oh shit, like this is something the Thunder have to account for. But they did the full court press. They played some guys a little bit more extended minutes off their bench, because their bench had some success in game 1 and game 3. But the Thunder finally conquered that at the end of game 4. So I go into game 5 thinking, like, I don't know what they can do strategically, but it's still going to be tough. Like, the Thunder still have to like answer the call. And then after game 5, I'm thinking, man, the Pacers look tired now. Like, for the first time this entire postseason, where they've had the extra legs, where they've had the extra energy, especially late in games where they've been completely dangerous, they look utterly like Pascal Siakam has great first, second, and third quarters, and then he is nowhere to be found in the fourth. Miles Turner is nowhere to be found, really, unless he's getting to the foul line. Nembhard can't run an offense. He's not a point guard.
He had some bad turnovers.
Nesmith is great off balance from 3, but other than that, he's a foul merchant, like free throw merchant. Like, he is a foul merchant. That dude fouls every time he's like defending someone with the basketball. And speaking of that, I do want to say this, and Alan, I want to ask you an NBA question, but I do want to ask, and I want fans from both sides to stop talking about the fucking officiating, please. It's like tiresome, because look, this is how it looks like to me. It's like the refs both agreed, we're going to let the Thunder play ultra aggressive on defense, hack and swat at balls, because that's what they do. So we're not going to like officiate them into playing differently. That would be stupid. But in order to balance that out, we're going to let Indiana just bulldoze into the lane during every rebound, because all these Pacers fans, like on my timeline, like bitching about, like, look at this stupid foul. It's not a foul. It's a flop. Look at that. I mean, are you telling me that half those rebounds aren't because they're running directly into Chet Holmgren's tiny little chest and getting away with it? It's like, the reason why they were able to come back last night was because of TJ McConnell and because they fought for every loose ball and fought for every rebound.
They got every single loose ball, dude.
And good on them. One. But I mean, a third of them were the result of a foul. So they're allowing some silliness on both ends. And the Thunder are just a better team, but they still have to go out there and prove it. I mean, Alan, as a non-Thunder fan, but of course, as deeply connected to the state of Oklahoma, do you at all feel any I respect kind of the potential sports history here.
Oh, I mean, it's a huge deal, right, for the state of Oklahoma in that sense, right? I mean, I got in trouble during game 1 because I tweeted out something about not wanting Oklahoma City to get all high on itself. But
the Tulsa shit, I totally forgot about that, man. Like these finals games are too far spaced. Like that feels like 2 months ago.
Right. I know. Right. Yeah. And I mean, think about it. Like, I think game 7 would be on like Sunday, right? Do I have that right?
Is it Monday, Matt?
I believe Monday. Yeah.
Monday. Whenever it is. I mean, playing that just seems ridiculous, doesn't it?
It would be Sunday. Sorry. Yeah. Sunday.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, but anyway, no, I mean, it's a huge deal, and clearly, I mean, the whole state is fired up about it, and that's always fun, I mean, it's one of those things too, where it's like, I mean, I remember what it was like when OU won the national championship in 2000, right? But even then, you got, part of the state all salty. I don't think you'd have, there might be a contingent of Mavs or Spurs fans somewhere, in somewhere in the great state of Oklahoma who wouldn't be celebrating here. But I mean, I can't imagine there are going to be many other fans of many other teams out there. So, no, man, it's live it up, man. It's a communal thing, huge for the history of the state, like you mentioned, Brady. And everybody should celebrate. Go for it.
No, there's no need to celebrate yet, Alan. It's a 0-0 mindset. Mark Dagnall would not be happy with you.
Pardon me. But it is kind of funny, man. I mean, game 7 in that building. Can you imagine the tension? Like, I mean,
look, I'm like, I want the Thunder to win because I'm from Oklahoma. And I'm really rooting for some of the people that work for the organization still that they weren't coworkers of mine, but they may as well have been because I was up their ass every single day for 4 years. And they were very good to me and coming up in my career. And so I want to see them succeed. And yes, like it's the big team in the state I live in. So of course, like, even though I'm a Heat fan, there's always going to be a part of me that, since I don't cover them anymore, I'm always going to watch the Thunder unless they're, I have YouTube TV like a peasant, so I don't get to watch them that much. So I want them to win, but go finish them off in game 6. They're hobbled. I think the Thunder have finally beaten them into a position of, you guys are asking TJ McConnell to save you. And he saved you once. Like, he was probably the biggest reason, even more than Mathurin, in my opinion, why the Pacers won game 3. I mean, Mathurin was the easy thing to kind of whoa, that's an outlier. I mean, that game was completely flipped by TJ McConnell, and he set up Mathurin to have the success offensively to take them home. And then the Thunder just missed some shots. Really, I think the Thunder are just, if Shea and J-Dub basically have the same game that they've had for the last 4 games now in this series, you're basically asking one of the Cason Wallace's, the Aaron Wigginses to hit some shot, or Lou Dort, I'll throw him in there. One of those 3, hit some shots. And then Chet, if you can score 10 plus, that's a gigantic bonus. But, continue your defensive impact. If those things happen, and that's not asking for, you're not asking for a lot. If those things happen, the Thunder are probably going to win the game and win the finals on Thursday. And it's incredible to think that. I mean, I can't believe it. I honestly can't believe it.
You got to kill the crowd early. Got to figure out a way to kill the crowd early in game 6.
I mean, this is a snap the neck kind of game. I mean, the way that you cannot let them off the hook right now with Halliburton injured this way and so ineffective.
And we talked about this a little bit today, but if Halliburton does give it a go, someone asked if you since he is hobbled, like if you hide Shea on him or like if you cover, no, keep Lou Dort on him. Keep Lou Dort on him and just run him ragged. Kind of like Alan said, literally, like, do not let him off the hook at all. Like, keep Lou Dort just ragdolling him the entire game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, again, as exciting as the prospect is a game 7 and you win it on your home floor, I mean, no, just go end it because
end it.
I mean, I'm nervous of like the Thunder losing game 6 and it's just like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Like
I seed of doubt.
Like I don't have a say in this. I don't have a horse in this race. And I would be like that weekend would be like, oh boy.
Yeah. I mean, the tension, so much, all the pressure in that case is on the Thunder if it gets to game 7 and just, yeah, man, the lemon booty quotient is very high.
Yeah. I guess like one more Thunder thought, Matt, because it's a question that people have been, I mean, even before they made it to the finals, it was always a question of like projecting this team down the road. The thing I was telling my fiance the other night watching the game was like, because she kind of gets annoyed with Chet, and it's like, I get it. Like he's a very frustrating player to watch, especially when he like takes the ball and dribbles it. It's like kind of sometimes it's hard to watch. But I explained to her, like, well, he's been in the league technically for 3 years. He didn't play his first year. He was hurt the entire year. He played all of last year. They got bounced in the second round. He missed, 55 games this year due to a hip injury. And he's in the finals in his third year, but really his second year. And so he's even less experienced than a second-year player because he's not played 2 full years. But he's in the finals as this number 2 overall pick with this incredibly high ceiling, and he's already got such a high floor as it is. He's impacting finals games without having to score. He has barely scratched the surface of how good he's going to be. And, like it's imperative for the Thunder to win this championship because don't like think like, oh, they can win more championships because we already mentioned like the KD Russ ones didn't go back. So win the task at hand, and then you can start like daydreaming about dynasties. Win the task at hand. But even then, Matt, it's like Chet's only going to get better. Jalen Williams, with him, I think it's just a confidence thing. He's doing it. He scored 40 in a finals game, so I think the confidence is probably just going to be there now more times than not. I don't know how much better he can be, but he can consistently be that damn good, I think, is his ceiling. Shea, I think he can still he's an MVP, like top 5, top 10 player in the world. Those guys can get better at minimal things year in and year out because they're special. But then like it's they'll have to like get rid of Lou Dort. And I'm like, I don't, are you watching these playoffs? No, he shut down Anthony Edwards. He made Jamal Murray a non-factor in the majority of a 7-game series. He completely shut down Ja Morant outside of one half. And then like, he didn't intentionally hurt him. It was an unfortunate thing. And he is currently like putting the clamps down on Tyrese Halliburton, who's only had really one good game 3, where he had over 20 and 10. And I mean, everyone's going to give him praise for, and rightfully so, for the buzzer beater shot in game 1. But before that, he wasn't really doing that much. And a lot of this is because of Lou Dort. And I understand that there are financials involved in all this, and they're going to have to make some tough decisions. But one thing that Thunder fans didn't get to enjoy when I was covering them was when you win a championship, when you prove that you can win a title, those types of players either want to come play for you now, or the players that you already have are willing to probably take pay cuts because they see like the grand picture before them. Will Lou Dort do that? I don't know. I hope so, because he's really fun to watch playing for the Thunder.
I think the big one is Shea, because Shea is eligible for
a lot of money,
like $80 million a year. So if he wants to take a little haircut, maybe. I mean, Jalen Brunson just did that for the Knicks so they could get Mikal Bridges, and that didn't really work out this year. I mean, they got to the East Finals, so maybe you can say it did. But, I'm curious to see what Shea does. I would not blame him, or anyone for that matter, for being like, no, this is what I'm eligible for. That's what I would like to be paid. And, hey, I'm not going to blame anybody for that. But, I mean, just look at it. Brady, you covered the NBA. Alan, I mean, you've been watching the NBA forever, basketball guy. Like, what would you say a peak is? Like your peak age for an NBA player?
He's not there yet, whatever it is, right? Like,
Right.
I mean,
you'd say like, I don't know, 28 to
28
30,
to
right?
31, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Well, Chet Holmgren just turned 23 in May. J-Dub turned 24 in April, and Shea's 26. So, like, I mean, these guys are all just, they all have so much basketball ahead of them. And I'm not going to do the whole thing because, again, we learned in 2012, like, oh, that's fine. These guys they'll be fine. They'll be right back here. It's not a big deal. And you just never know what can happen. But I'm just saying, like, just don't take for granted what's going on right now. And hopefully you can build through and see this through like an actual, like 7-8 year run. That would be fantastic. But man, yeah, what they're doing right now at their ages is truly special. And I really can't remember the last time that this has happened.
Yeah, Jalen Williams, what he's done at this age. And it's important to remember, like with him, how long he played at Santa Clara? Was he a junior?
I think he was a junior. Junior or sophomore.
So while he's like NBA young, he's quite the experienced player.
Yeah.
For a 23-year-old, you're usually talking about a guy who's not yet in their prime yet, but they've played like 1 year of college, and then they've played 2, maybe 3 years of a kind of throwaway NBA basketball because they're probably on a bad team. And then 23, 24 is when they start kind of coming onto the scene. Jalen is like fairly experienced because of how long he played in college. And I think it's really lended itself well to the role that he's kind of been thrust into, being the number 2 to Shea. But I mean,
the only one that I think for sure is not on the team after next year is Isaiah Hartenstein. I mean, if you go look at his contract, it is almost set up perfectly to when Chet and J-Dub have to get paid because he signed a 3-year or 2+1, right? So he's got a team option on the third year. So the Thunder will probably just decline that team option, free up 30 whatever million in cap space, and use a lot of that on J-Dub and Chet Holmgren, if not all of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm confident that they will win. They should win. They're the better team.
Yep.
And this series has gone on long enough for us to all kind of see it. That doesn't mean that the Pacers can't win Game 6 and then make everybody nervous and then even win Game 7. So Thunder just need to go take care of business and get the task at hand so that everybody can have a good few weeks of celebration within the state of Oklahoma before we get back to the show that is OU football that makes us all happy. And never angry, doesn't ruin any marriages or relationships, anything like that. It's nothing but good, and we're excited for it. But anything else, gentlemen? Thunder, OU football wise?
I think we're good.
We got it, yeah.
Sweetness. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for listening to Through the Keyhole. Truly appreciate it. Shout out to Peyton. He'll be back, I assume, next Tuesday for the free pod. But for Mr. Matt Burton and Alan Kinney and myself, Brady Trantham, and Peyton Guthrie, thank you, everybody, for listening. Until next time, Boomer.
See you later.